On this episode of the Best of Bias, you got your boy Lydell Dinero back for another episode. You know what I'm saying? I think it's episode 159 now. Got a bunch of topics to talk about today. NBA playoffs are right around the corner. We got the play-in tournament to talk about. UFC 286 just happened. Izzy got his revenge over I don't know how to say his name, Pinheiro. Hopefully that's how you say it. Jake Paul, Nate Diaz, next boxing match, celebrity boxing match. We got some Cinema Corner to talk about Mandalorian episode 7, the challenge and Survivor. We haven't talked much about the challenge yet in the last couple of episodes. I don't know. Have we? No. So we're gonna talk about the challenge. We're gonna talk about some Survivor season 44 as well. Just touch on some stuff we haven't talked about, and of course Snowfall, and then some music. We'll talk about some music. We haven't talked about music in a while, so a lot of stuff we haven't talked about in a while. We're gonna talk about it today. Oh yeah, and I got a page of pop culture that I haven't really talked about either. Another shooting in Kentucky. Shanquilla Robinson, her case, they're saying there was no criminal action involved in her death, which was kind of crazy. And then the Mexico kidnapped people, the survivors, are speaking on CNN. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Hopefully you understood that stuff I just rambled through, but it's going to be an epic episode today. Welcome back, new listeners. Well, welcome back for the first time, new listeners, and everybody else that's been here. Welcome back, family. Let's get to this podcast. Where my theme song at? And happy Friday. Bang, bang. It's the best of bias. You need the earful, you should try us. From pop culture to the movies to Unitas. It's the best of bias. Your best of bias. Yeah, it's the best of bias.
You are now listening to the Best of Bias podcast with Lydell Dinero and Hugo Twilight.
What it do? What it do? It's Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the Best of Bias podcast. Much love, much love, much love. Again, new listeners, thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking on the podcast. Man, you're going to love it here, I promise you. And for all my old listeners and to all the family members, the Best of Bias family out there, welcome back. Friday is here. Hope you didn't have to work too hard. You know, I know the weeks be stressful. I know you got a lot on your plate during the week. And when it gets to Friday, you just can let your hair down, listen to the Best of Bias podcast, and get into that weekend in a good mood. So welcome here. And it's Lydell Dinero in the building, like always. Just me today. I hope you guys don't mind too much. You know what I'm saying? It's just me vibing in the studio. Can I be good enough for y'all? Shoot. Again, we're on YouTube all day. Go check us out. We'll talk about that at the end, but let's get into some topics. Recently, we had a great fight weekend last weekend. UFC wise, I should have been watching the boxing match, but it was only the same time as the UFC fights. Excuse me here. Izzy Adesanya and Alex Pinheiro, their third matchup in the mixed martial arts world, second UFC fight for the championship belt. They're pretty much the headliners, but the whole event itself, UFC 286 in Miami, was kind of epic, man. Knowing Izzy was going to fight Pinheiro, and also Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal. The Miami kid himself was out there going to be co-headlining, co-main event as well. It's going to be a weekend for a good fight, a good put together match here. So I was excited to see that. Izzy, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the undercards, but I don't talk about this Izzy fight because that's pretty much what everybody was there for and everybody was ready for. Izzy and Pinheiro in kickboxing. Alex Pinheiro has been, if I'm saying his name wrong, I'm sorry, guys. All y'all out there in Brazil, don't try to kick my ass for that, but I promise you, I'm trying to say his name right and just glance at it. Pereira? I'm going to say Pinheiro. I'm going to say Alex P. How about that? Alex P is probably easier for me to say, but anyways, Alex P has been getting the best of Izzy for the last 2 matches they fought. One in kickboxing. I don't know exactly what league it was, but Izzy got knocked out by him in kickboxing. And then when he actually Alex P moved up to the UFC where Izzy was dominating, knocking everybody out. He lost his championship belt to Alex P from stoppage at the last fight. Izzy was pretty much, dominating the whole fight. Knocked him down, I think maybe in the first or second round, knocked Alex P down in the first or second round, and had the rounds going, pretty much winning by points and stuff like that. But towards the end of the fight, I think it might have even been 5th round, maybe 4th or 5th round, Alex had Izzy on the cage, had him against the cage, throwing haymakers at him. knocking him, and the referee decided that Izzy wasn't fighting back or defending himself enough to keep the fight going. So he jumped in and stopped the fight, and Izzy lost his belt. But then he came back this fight in UFC 286, and he looked primed and ready to go. He hasn't gotten the best Alex P. Izzy's the kind of fighter that if he loses, he takes whatever happens to heart, and he'll go out there and train and train and train until he gets better. I mean, he hasn't lost much in the UFC, so I don't know if that, what I'm saying really holds court in that area, but he gets better as he fights more. So his elevation as he was winning was still next to none. You know what I mean? So especially in a loss, I thought that he's gonna come back ready to go, way more motivated, way more focused, less showboaty. I know, because after you win a whole bunch of fights in a row, you're going to probably be on top of your game and think you're going to walk through these new people that try to face you in the UFC, even if you lost to them in another like kickboxing league. There's a lot more that goes on in UFC. You can go to the ground. Let me not speak out of turn. I don't really know what goes on in kickboxing and shit like that. If y'all really going to the ground and shit like that and getting down like they do in the UFC, big ups to y'all. But in the UFC, I thought that Izzy would have more of a well-rounded game to be able to, get his revenge over Alex P. But those hands, man, he doesn't look like it, but once he walks you down and starts letting them hands go, Alex P got some fire in those punches. So, it got the best of Izzy in the first fight, but this fight here, I think Izzy was ready for it. He moved around a lot more. He's been kicked in the legs a lot, which, people are going to start looking at that because he has skinnier legs, but I'm sure he'll adjust and watch the fight tape and know that they're going to be going after your legs and try to sting you with those and score off points and shit like that. But luckily, I think it was like in the third, I want to say, maybe fourth, man. I wasn't really paying attention to the rounds too much, but it was just once where Alex P had Izzy on the fence again, but Izzy threw one of those rights, rocked him, and then threw another right and connected with that chin, knocked Alex P on the ground, and then he came down on him with the ground and pound, and just, the referee stopped it immediately because it would have been too much damage done if Izzy would have went down to the ground with him and started knocking him like that. But Izzy got his revenge with a knockout in the sweetest way possible, and he let him know too, man. When Alex P came out there and won the first fight in the UFC, his family was talking mess. His son, non-knowingly, is like a little kid, kind of did like this taunt against Izzy about him getting knocked out. So when he won, Izzy remembered that and actually pretended to get knocked out and was mimicking his son's celebration. It was just kind of crazy. Izzy remembers, and he's a champion, man. He's one of the best fighters in the UFC, if not one of the pound for pound best fighters out there. I wish Kamaru Usman would have had that chance against Leon Edwards to come and get his belts back, but I guess, I don't know, he's one of those guys that isn't going to be able to get his belts back. I like Usman a lot, and I like his game. Maybe his striking isn't, as good as Leon Edwards because Leon Edwards got hands. I think he knocked him out last time with like a front kick or some shit like that. But I didn't watch the second fight. I think I might have fell asleep or some shit. But the Gilbert Burns and Masvidal fight, that was pretty good too, because there's two guys that like to stand up and throw. Even though Gilbert Burns is jiu-jitsu Brazilian guy, he gets to the ground and try to tap you out too, but he throws hands. You know what I'm saying? He looks like a Tua to me, actually. If you put his picture next to Tua Tagovailoa's, I think they look like twins. But he has a twin brother that's actually pretty raw too. But that fight was good. I think Gilbert Burns was going to win off the bat. I actually put some money on it. I bet some of my friends about the fights and stuff like that. I just kind of knew that Gilbert Burns was going to be able to walk him down. I watched a couple of Jorge Masvidal's last couple of fights, and guys that were just super strikers got the best of him. But he was so entertaining of a fighter. He has a strong jaw, and he doesn't really get knocked out. He just keeps fighting no matter what. He's a draw, especially this fight being in Miami, where he's from. You had to have Masvidal involved, and it brought out a crowd. Gilbert Burns he's an ascending fighter, man. I think he might have fought Izzy as well, lost to Izzy, but he has hands, and we saw him fighting Masvidal, and he won in decision. That was a great fight. A lot of the undercards were dope too. I forgot his first name, but this dude Ford or Font, one of those, I think it might have been Font. He was out there throwing hands, knocked the dude out, had him laid out like freaking Tyron Woodley in the Jake Paul fight. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. People are throwing hands out there. I wish I remembered the dude with the braids and the other guy's fight before that. because they were just throwing them the whole fight, and neither one of them would go down. They both had chins. So the UFC is kind of in a crazy place right now because the entertainment company that actually owns the UFC just bought the WWE as well. So it's gonna be a lot of crossover, I'm sure, and they're gonna make a lot of money with those two companies under their belt. I wish I knew what the company was that actually bought them. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be the guy that gives you this kind of information, but man, I apologize. But speaking of Jake Paul in the UFC, I guess Jake Paul wants to fight Nate Diaz. He not only wants to fight him, the fight's already set up to be fought on August 5th. So Jake Paul is going for another UFC fighter to try to prove that he is a supreme boxer. He just recently lost to Tommy Fury, an actual boxer, in his last match. So I think he's going back down to UFC fighters that have a little bit less boxing experience. So he can actually probably win a fight. But me personally, I don't think he can beat Nate Diaz because I think Nate Diaz is he has a really good boxing background, and he has a jaw on him as well. And you can't really knock him out in the UFC. So how you think you're gonna knock him out with bigger gloves? I mean, you can get connected with any kind of punch and be knocked out. But if Jake Paul is really about it, has been practicing and learning from his mistakes and watching his tape from the Tyson Fury fight and really putting that work in, I mean, maybe it's possible. And that's why the fight is put together. But I don't know if Nate Diaz is going to take a flop like some of these other guys may have for the money type of thing. I think they've been going back and forth a lot, and I think he actually wants to beat up Jake Paul. So not saying he's going to just go in there and beat him up, but the fact that we think that he actually does want to beat him up would make us probably think this fight is more real than the last couple of fights that I think were kind of fluky, if you ask me. But we saw when he fought an actual boxer that he was actually able to win or to actually come back down to earth a little bit. But I respect what he's doing, man. It might seem like I'm hating a lot over here, but I respect it, man. I'm not a boxer and I don't want to be getting in the rings with nobody, especially not no UFC fighters or no boxers. So big ups to him for doing it. He just started on Disney and a YouTube kid going out there trying to box, and he's boxing people of notoriety. You know what I mean? They may not be boxers all the time, but he's out there throwing them and showing that he's actually out there practicing and doing what he needs to do. You know what I mean? He beat some UFC legends. So he has some clout under his belt and he can box. So, you know what I'm saying? Big ups to him. Are you guys excited to see another Nate Diaz? I mean, not another Nate Diaz, but another Jake Paul fight, him fight another UFC guy, even though Nate Diaz is a big name in the UFC. So, you know what I'm saying? It could be a little more intriguing on that note, but what do you guys think? Tell me about it. But let's move on smoothly into this NBA play-in tournament. How you guys been enjoying that? You know what I mean? It's been cool seeing the play-in tournament the last couple of years. It's interesting to me, actually. It gives the 9 and 10 teams a chance to actually make the playoffs, and it gives the 7 and 8 teams a second chance to actually battle it out for a seed as well, because they've been doing so good all year and they're not the 8 or 9 seed or the 9 or 10 seed. If the 9 or 10 seed got two chances, just like the 7 and 8 seed, that wouldn't really be fair. But I think it's fair this way. I think it's an intriguing way to stop tanking, even though teams are going to tank anyways to try to get the best players in the NBA. I like how the lottery is kind of spread a little bit more even for the lower seeds now, so it's a little more random. But the play-in tournament has been interesting. On the West, of course, is where I'm paying the most attention because that's, of course, who we're going to see, who the Nuggets play. You know what I'm saying? I have to wear my Jamal Murray jersey today. You know what I'm saying? Representing the Nuggets, number 1 seed, lock that up. First time in franchise history. I ain't going to talk too much about it, though. But when we get to the predictions, we'll probably talk about it, but not right now. Yeah, it's been interesting, man, seeing these bottom seeds play a little more closely because we see them battling it out all season, especially in the West, to actually get in the standings to make the play-in tournament. And then actually when you see these teams actually playing, fighting for their playoff lives and seeing them more on – I've seen them on TV before, but the way they play in the play-in tournament, like they really need to win, is a little bit better than seeing these teams play on TV towards the end of the season where a lot of players are resting and stuff. So it's taking it to another level, and it's giving teams like the Thunder and the Pelicans and the Minnesota Timberwolves chances to be on TV and show their ass to show themselves to be able to make some noise potentially in the playoffs. The Timberwolves secured themselves. Oh, actually, they're playing on Friday against the Thunder, who beat the Pelicans last night for the 9 and 10 seeds. 9 and 10 seed, whoever loses that game is eliminated. So the Thunder survived. So they went and played. They're going to play the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves and the Lakers played for the 7 and 8 seed, or the 7 seed, I think last week sometime, or on Monday. I don't know, sometime this week. And the Lakers were able to beat them. So they got the 7 seed. So the Minnesota Timberwolves got another chance to play the winner of the 9 and 10 seed to see who gets the 8 seed ultimately. So it's a cool little tournament. Everybody's really happy that the Lakers won on that side, so they can play the Grizzlies. Man, these matchups are gonna be really interesting. It's really interesting to hear from all these fan bases in the media to kind of think who's going to win these tournament or these matchups, especially watching these teams all year. It's like nothing really is going to change for these teams once the playoffs start. So why are they so much more confident when the playoffs come that these teams are just going to walk through everything? But on the East side in the play-in tournament, we had what was it? The Miami Heat versus the Atlanta Hawks for the 7 seed. The Hawks were able to win that game to secure that 7 seed. And the Miami Heat have to play the winner of the last night's game, which was Toronto and the Bulls. And the Bulls were able to win that game. So it's going to be Miami versus the Bulls for the 8 seed tonight. If you're listening to this Friday morning, it's tonight. If you're listening to this Friday night, you probably saw the game already. But yeah, the Heat are going to play the Bulls for the 8 seed. And on the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to play the Oklahoma City Thunder for the 8 seed. So it's going to be interesting to see. Me personally, with the number 1 seed in the West, I don't even know who I'd rather see, either Minnesota or OKC. I don't know. I think Timberwolves are in shambles right now. We saw Rudy Gobert punch his teammate. So I don't know if they're ready for the playoffs or ready for anything. Their best defender punched the wall and broke his hand. So he's not going to be able to play for the start of the playoffs either. So you pretty much have Karl Anthony Towns out there trying to do everything by himself, and Anthony Edwards shot spin off. So I wouldn't mind playing them, but at the same time, you got OKC, who's a bunch of young players who they're really streaky and really good, but for a young team. But it's like, can they go on a 7-game series with the Nuggets number 1 seed all season? You got Jokic. You really wouldn't have nobody to guard him in the post or really scoring in the post because Jokic is bigger than everybody they got. We saw OKC getting out rebounded by the Pelicans by crazy numbers with Valanciunas, and Jokic will eat Valanciunas in rebounds and shit like that. So I don't know. I think we'll be a better matchup against the Thunder. I just know Gillis Alexander and Josh Giddey can get hot, and Jalen Williams too. Jay Will from Santa Clara, they get off too. So it's like they get young. They're young guys that can get hot real quick. But I think our team has some veterans that can calm those young boys down, and we can take care of business at home. And I think OKC will be the better choice because we wouldn't have to worry about Karl Anthony Towns and the Jokic matchup. And Anthony Edwards can get hot too. And then I don't know. I just kind of rather play OKC, but that's just me. But let's talk about some of the matchups that are actually already solidified and actually are going to happen. We got in the West again. I'm going to start with the 2 seed Grizzlies versus the Lakers. This game is going to be really good. We have the old hotness versus the new hotness. You got LeBron and the Lakers versus Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. Man, the Grizzlies have been making noise all season. Have been one of the nemesis of the Nuggets all season, trying to catch us at the number 1 seed, and they don't lose, man. Even when Ja Morant was out, the team was able to win. Even if they sat their best players sometimes, and they're still able to win. So that's pretty epic to me. So I think that they're actually going to be able to handle business against the Lakers. Against popular belief, everybody in the media, everybody that's a Lakers fan seems to think that the Grizzlies are going to get walked through by the Lakers. LeBron and AD are just going to turn it on. And all these role players are actually just going to be able to play better in the playoffs and just think they're going to be able to walk through the Grizzlies. I don't think it's going to happen because I've watched the Grizzlies really closely personally, and I felt like there's a whole bunch of teams out there that can beat the Grizzlies, but nobody beat them. It's like, damn, just for one night, can y'all just lose to one of these good teams? But they're like some crazy, like 39-6 at home. So they're going to be playing the Lakers, who barely beat the Minnesota Timberwolves to get the 7 seed. And who struggled all year to beat bad teams. So I don't know. And there's been a lot of games that have been before the actual playoffs. So you're going to have a 7-game series, hoping LeBron and AD stay healthy. And if they go out, it's like you're going to be hoping that Austin Reeves and Michael Beasley and Troy Brown turn it on to win yourself a series. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. If we're making predictions now, I got the Grizzlies in that one. We have the Kings versus Warriors. Kings the 3 seed, the Warriors the 6 seed. So this is another one where I think it's kind of crazy how the Warriors fans are so confident that they can just turn it on in the playoffs and beat this team who's been great all year in all aspects and battled for the 2 seed, almost was able to take the 1 seed as well. It was only like 3 or 4 games back. Sabonis has been crazy. De'Aaron Fox has been crazy. Herter's been crazy. Keegan Murray, rookie from Iowa, has been crazy. Malik Monk has been crazy. They have a squad full of young hitters that have been playing great. Harrison Barnes, who maybe wants to get his revenge against the Warriors. First time two NorCal basketball teams have played each other in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So it's going to be crazy. Um, the Warriors have been playing really well away at all this season. So for them to have to play two games right off the bat in Sacramento against a hot team that I feel like can beat most teams, it's just kind of crazy for, I don't know, people to think that the Warriors are going to walk through the Kings. I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, the series goes 7, and I think, it's going to be easy 2-0 for, not I don't say easy, but I think the Kings will go 2-0. So if they still won in Oracle at Chase Center, I don't know if they'll do that, but I think it's going to be a series for the Warriors. If anything, it's not going to be a walkthrough just because the team is young and inexperienced. You know what I mean? They have the soon-to-be coach of the year in Mike Brown, and I think it's gonna go well for them until they get against a more experienced matchup that has a little bit more going for them, higher seeded team. I'm not saying the Warriors can't get hot and beat them for real, because they can. The players they got, and we'll see what Wiggins does coming right back from being gone for a long time, but. I don't know, man. The Kings are pretty good. I don't know if the Warriors can be able to walk through them. You know what I mean? 1 second. Ooh, got some good water. Splashed it in my eye too. Next, we got the Suns versus the Clippers. Yeah, Suns the 4 seed, Clippers the 5 seed. KD and them, I think they're like 8-0 since KD and Chris Paul and Devin Booker have been playing together. So everybody's all hyped up about this Suns team. They're good offensively, I guess, but defensively, and DeAndre Ayton too. I'm not gonna forget him. I'm not gonna be like that. They look good offensively, but defensively, I don't think they really got it all together. The last couple of games I watched against the Nuggets without our starters, we almost beat them. You know what I mean? With our third string, second string players. So it's like I see that they're great with Kevin Durant. He can just fit in and score whenever. Devin Booker's a bucket as well. And if you have Chris Paul assisting and giving any kind of points with DeAndre Ayton too, they can win any series. And people think just with the addition of KD that they're going to win the championship is kind of crazy to me as well. I don't think they're going to lose to the Clippers just being as they don't really have Paul George. And for them to rely solely on Kawhi Leonard is going to be kind of tough. I know they have Norman Powell. They have some other good pieces. Zubac is nothing to snore at. Is that the saying? Nothing to snooze at. You know what I'm saying? Sneeze? Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, he can defend, he can rebound. I don't really know who they got. Batum. They have some other players on because people are saying they're really, really deep over there. And they got Tyronn Lue as the coach, so you know what I'm saying? They just have high hopes for the Clippers right now. I'm hoping they give the Suns a series and actually they can beat the Suns so that the Nuggets can play. If they get past the first round, I ain't looking past the first round yet. But if we get past the first round, I'd rather play the Clippers than the Suns. I'm just saying. I mean, it would be a better series to watch on TV if we played the Suns, but I'd rather play the Clippers for our team's sake. Just for the history against them and how we've been playing them for the last couple of years, I think that'll be good for us. Selfish, right? But whatever. For what we know for the Eastern Conference, we got the Bucks versus we don't know that one yet. Let me go down to the Celtics at the number 2 seed versus the Hawks. Yeah, the Celtics are probably gonna walk through these guys. The Hawks may get one game off the Celtics, but the Celtics, I think, are on a mission to not only prove that they're the best team in the East, but to redeem themselves from the last year's loss to the Warriors in the championship. So I think, the Celtics are going to easily walk through the Hawks. We have number 3, the Sixers versus the number 6 Nets. Even though the Nets have been playing hard all season, I don't think they're going to have an answer for Joel Embiid. Claxton will get in foul trouble really fast. James Harden probably be playing like James Harden in the playoffs, even though he has faded in the playoffs a lot. I think this is the year he proves that he's actually going to be able to do something. He's assisting at a high rate right now, getting to the free throw line. And I think if he just puts his points in there and puts it all together, he'll have a great playoffs. Some of the players on the team as well, Tyrese Maxey. Who else we got? Young J. Cole, what's his name? His name is Tobias Harris. Yeah, so they have a good little team over there. So against the Nets, I mean, they're all young guys, but I mean, if they can put it together, they got Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith is a good defender, but we'll see what they can do because I know they call a lot of fouls for Joel Embiid. So a lot of those guys that actually play defensive roles that are trying to guard Embiid will probably get in foul trouble pretty early. And especially if he wins MVP, he's going to be on this mission to he's going to get those fouls. And then we got the Cavs versus the Knicks. It's gonna be a good series, but I think the Cavs are actually the team is put together, and I think if they're all healthy, yeah, it's gonna be a tough team to beat. That's a sleeper out there in the Eastern Conference. You know what I'm saying? Versus the Knicks right now, they're pretty banged up. Randall's not playing because of a twisted ankle, and twisted ankles, if you have a sprained ankle, it doesn't heal that fast. And if you're not 100%, you probably not gonna go out there. But I hope he's ready for the playoffs. Because the Knicks have been doing great with him and Jalen Brunson all year. Um, young, what's other brother's name? Other brother's name. Barrett. What's his first name? Damn, whatever. Barrett and a couple of other guys I like on the team. Not Mitchell Robinson because he's been losing me a lot of bets. You know what I'm saying? I don't like how you be going out there and playing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the coach don't like you or what. They be pulling you at the wrong times and you be stopping playing hard when I need you to play hard. I don't like that. But I think the Cavs will win that series. That team is just stacked right now with Evan Mobley and young Jared Allen down there in the post. You know what I'm saying? Allen do all the rebounding and Mobley is like a young Chris Bosh. He can shoot from the mid range, actually can get rebounds and dunk it on people itself, has good defense. And of course you have Donovan Mitchell and young Darius Garland out there just making plays. Garland can get to the bucket, pass. Mitchell can just score at will and just, you know, get a bucket at any time he wants to. So he can score 43 at will. I think he scored a whole, like at least 5 40-point games. He had a 71-point game as well this season, I think. So this fool's been going off. So we're going to see a lot of him in the playoffs as well. Again, these number 1 seed, the Bucks, are going to either play the Heat or the Bulls. If I was to predict who's going to win out of the Heat and the Bulls, seeing how the Heat played against the Hawks, I think the Bulls can actually beat the Heat, and to see a Bulls and Bucks first round, though I think Milwaukee will walk through the Bulls in that first round. Again, I talked a little bit about the Thunder and the Timberwolves and who I'd rather play against those two. So I'm kind of going for the Thunder to win the game, but I actually don't really care who wins because I think we'll have a game plan against either one. Though one has Cat, everybody else around him isn't really that good. And we don't want those young, I don't know who we want to play yet, but whoever it is, I think we will still beat them. But I'll go round for round with y'all with the playoffs start. I'm not gonna make a whole playoff prediction now, but with those matchups, that's what I'm predicting. So round 1 for the Nuggets or the Thunder or Timberwolves, I think the Nuggets are gonna win regardless. Grizzlies and Lakers, I'm picking the Grizzlies over the Lakers. Kings and Warriors, I'm picking the Kings over the Warriors, and then Suns versus the Clippers, I'm picking the Suns over the Clippers. Though I want the Clippers to win. In the East, I got the Bucks over the Bulls. And then I have Celtics over the Hawks, Sixers over the Nets, and the Cavs over the Knicks. So, man, those are my picks, man. Those are my predictions for the first round. I'll get back at y'all for the other rounds and stuff, and we'll make some predictions. We'll keep that going like that. We'll get some guests on here too, because I have a lot of Lakers fan friends. I have some Warriors fan friends, and we all can get on here and talk about the playoffs and how we talk, liking the playoffs so far. And it'll be some good vibes. But let's move on from the sports. I know a lot of people ain't all into the sports like that, but I had to report on the sports for y'all because it's been a while since I talked about the basketball playoffs, some good fights, you know what I'm saying? We don't have AK on here to break down the boxing in the UFC like we needed broke down in the Star Wars, you know what I'm saying? He said he's gonna be on soon. He's updating his computer and stuff, so he'll be on here soon. I'm sorry. And we'll get Damo back on here. It's been a little bit for him too, but he's doing some home renovations and stuff like that. So I get it. I get it. Everybody's kind of busy. Ain't got time for the Bias family right now, but I'm always have time for y'all. So don't even worry about that. If I ain't got no guests, you're gonna hear me spit some knowledge, and I got a lot of knowledge to come to y'all. What was that? I got a lot of knowledge to come to y'all. That was corny. I got some, whatever. Next, we got pop culture. We get into the pop culture topics here, and these aren't really good topics at all. I mean, they're good topics, but they're all kind of sad. I didn't get no good pop culture shit in here, but we'll start with another mass shooting that happened. Again, we're gonna start a little somber here, and then it's not really gonna let up. It's all just kind of disappointing stuff. Not to laugh. It's just kind of sad what the pop culture world is right now. It's a lot of depressing stuff, a lot of crazy stuff going on. I don't report on all of it because I don't want to overweigh y'all with the somber stuff. I like to keep the uplifting kind of stuff, the weird kind of stuff, but sometimes I got to bring the somber the bias in here sometimes too, and let y'all be aware of stuff that's going on around the world, because I talked about this to some people and they haven't even heard about it yet. Some medias can suppress some information from you. So you always want to be aware. And again, always want to hear from a whole bunch of different outlets about some information. So you know what's out there. I mean, you don't have to believe one source over another, but just know that stuff is going on. That's what I like to say. Just know that there's stuff going on, no matter where you want to get the news from. Just be informed. You know what I mean? But let's start here. There's another mass shooting, like I said, in Louisville, Kentucky. I think it's at a Union Bank, they say. An employee went back. His name was Connor Sturgeon. I don't like usually to say these killers' names on here to give them no clout, because that's what I feel like sometimes make these other guys want to go and do it, to try to get their names thrown out there in a whole bunch of media platforms. But in this case, it's just another sad case of, I don't know. I don't want to give them the whole justification of mental health, but it's just another a case of somebody that shouldn't have a firearm, that's not in the right mental state to carry a firearm, going doing some crazy shit because he has access to that firearm and feels a certain way in some certain instance. I don't know what happened at his job. He actually worked at this bank and just went there one day with the AR-15 and just kind of went ham and started shooting people inside the building. He actually shot a cop. He killed five people that worked at the bank, and then eventually was killed by the police. Another crazy scene, and he live streamed it on Instagram while it was going on. We saw the body cam footage from the cops that they released. There's just a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world when it comes to guns and just mental health and all together. It's just crazy to me how these people want to go to their jobs and just kill people at their jobs. I don't know. Sometimes you got to kind of monitor that, especially with job sites, man. Some people, the work life balance isn't really good for them. They're getting worked to the bone. They're not making enough money. The way people talk to them at work, the way they're treated, and it just breaks somebody. Not giving justification to what this guy did, but it just seems like a lot of employees are doing a lot of the mass shootings this year as well. Not only these crazy people going to schools, it's just like there's a Walmart incident and people just going and just taking out people that just treated them wrong at their job. I don't really know the stories on why they did it, but it just seems like it's getting too familiar for people to go and do these things, or people just to think that they can get a gun and just go shoot somebody for no reason. I don't want to say no reasons again, because I don't know these people's reasons, but just go out there and shoot anybody and take their life is just kind of unjustified, I feel like. But yeah, it's just a crazy scene out there. Let's see, some of the victims that died in the bank: Josh Barrick, Jim Tutt, Tommy Elliott, Juliana Farmer, and Deanna Eckhart, RIP. Prayers out to all the families involved. I just don't know what's gonna have to happen for us to take a closer look at what's going on, either gun laws or mental health. I feel like we talk about both, but we don't really dig deep into, ways to fix it or solutions. It's just more and more examples of reasons to fix it, but it's like stuff is not getting fixed, and people broach the topic to these people in high power, and they just feel like they're powerless to do something or scared to do something, because I feel like their biggest supporters are super guns rights people. I don't know, and people don't really believe in mental health, and it's just weird. It's just weird not to, in a time where crazy stuff is happening for no reason and out of nowhere, which we thought back in the days was so taboo. But now we see it on social media and stuff like this happening every day, like it's regular, and people becoming numb to this stuff to actually want to go out there and do it and live stream it so everybody can see it. And just, it's just wild. It's just wild. It's wild to me, and I'll never understand it. You know what I mean? Again, I wish I had a guest on here to kind of talk about it with. I know my homie Paul kind of talks about it a lot in the group chat about this topic, but it's like, at this point, what do we do? Why can't we talk publicly about what should be done? No, it's not a secret. You know what I'm saying? We see this in front of us all the time. So we should actually just talk about it as a country, as a USA, instead of being so divisive about what the topic actually is. We see the topic as two things. You know what I mean? It's guns and mental health of these people that actually go out there and do crazy shit like this. A sane person doesn't do shit like this, doesn't go to a school and shoot little kids. Like, sane people don't do this shit. So you need to closely examine what's going on, because if we don't, we're going to keep losing people. We're going to keep looking like a inferior country that just lets random shootings go on at a moment's whim for no reason, and that's crazy. I don't know. It's crazy. Moving on to another somber case. Again, RIP to the families, and man, RIP to everybody involved. It's just nuts. The cop that was actually out there trying to defend the people in the killings was shot in the head, is in critical condition. It's just nuts. It's nuts. And for it all to come out on video and for the public to actually see this shit is just crazy to me as well. How, and it's like at a moment's notice, like right after stuff happened, we'll see it live, like we're there the next day. It's crazy. And another disturbing case, I know we talked a little bit about Shaquilla, sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, again, Shaquilla Robinson, the case about her being beat up and it was on video of her getting beat up by her supposed friends in Mexico, and she got pretty much beaten to death. And the authorities and the EMTs out there in Mexico pronounced her dead, but they were saying that she was beat up, her spine was broken and stuff like that. And it was just a whole bunch of stories going around about how she died. But the fact that we saw the video of her getting beat up and that her friends just left her there in Mexico all beat up and went back to America, there seems like something fishy was going on in that whole case in the first place. It is pretty much open and shut. We saw these people in the videos beating her up. We know who she went there to Mexico with. It should be clear cut what's going on if she died after being beaten like that. We get back to America and they said that there's no criminal charges against the people in the video. There's no criminal charges are going to be, found against anybody because they don't have enough evidence. I think they said no criminal charges due to not enough evidence, even though there was attacks, like people attacking her on camera 6 months ago. It's like, we know what was going on. We know what happened. If she died after getting beat up, like isn't that murder? People are trying to say she was drunk. I don't know if that has to do with anything. I'm just like, if you die after getting beat up by somebody, even though you're drunk, I feel like that's still on the person that beat you up. Though they're saying that they're trying to get the people to come back to Mexico to be charged, but they're in America now, and they're not going to be extradited back to Mexico. So, I mean, not as far as I know. So right now they're just getting away with killing this girl. And they said that the autopsy, when it got back to America, that her spine wasn't broken, but it was reported that it was broken in Mexico. It's like a bunch of fishy stuff going on, and we don't know what's actually going to happen. And it's just sad that we witnessed her getting beaten on camera again on social media, some weird ass way. Like, we shouldn't have to witness stuff like that on camera. But though that camera video, hopefully, I mean, they say there's nothing gonna come of it right now, but hopefully just that video itself can just be evidence that these people actually did something to this girl. It's crazy. It's crazy. But shoot, Mexico is a crazy place sometimes. And speaking of Mexico, we have these, remember the kidnapped victims that we talked about when Chelsea and Damo were on? They're going to Mexico for a tummy tuck, and they got kidnapped and mistaken as drug smugglers. And two of the friends were killed by the cartel, and two of them were actually able to get back to America, but one of them was shot and had to be stitched up and stuff. But the woman was able to get back. One of the women were able to get back to America. They went on CNN and tell their story about what was happening. I don't know if I would have done that. I mean, I'd just be happy to be alive. I would try to stay out of anything drug related, or just stay as far as away from talking about the cartel as I could. But they're on CNN telling their story. I mean, CNN probably paid them a pretty penny to come out there and tell their story, and they probably needed the money at the time. So they went out there and did that. But man, the way that they look, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I don't know. They look like, yeah, they wasn't going down there for no tummy tuck. But you know what I'm saying? People died. I'm not going to talk mess about the situation at all, because it's not a laughable situation when their lives get taken in a situation like that. But it's just wild to think about, that you're going to Mexico for a tummy tuck and you get in this kind of trouble. I don't know. Was she planning on driving back to wherever she was from after the tummy tuck? I feel like I would have taken more chance flying after the tummy tuck than driving. You know what I mean? Maybe a flight to Mexico was too much money. I don't know what was going on in that story, but people still really don't know the details down to the detail. and then for them to go on CNN to tell the story. Though, I mean, they probably told some details from what actually happened, but I don't know. You know, social media though, they never believe anything, and maybe they corrupted my mind into not believing these people. But it's what do they say? The math ain't mathing. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Shout out to them. Um, Happy the two that did get back were able to get back and tell their story because stuff can go left like that anywhere and people don't make it back. So they are lucky few. There are lucky few that actually made it out and able to tell a story, can write a book or something because that's a crazy story. But goes to show when people tell you to stay out of somewhere, stay out of it. Don't try to be risky and get your tummy to go to somewhere well known. Go to Miami. Go to Dominican Republic. Go to Kaiser, your local Kaiser, your local Stanford Medical Center. They can do a tummy tuck for you. I'm sure they have cosmetic surgery areas where they can get that done for you. Mexico, I know it's cheap, but do you really need that cheap to where you can drive through a cartel area and get kidnapped? I don't know, man. It just the math ain't mathing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then lastly, in the pop culture section here, I want to send my prayers out to Jamie Foxx. He was hospitalized recently. They're saying that he had a stroke, but I'm just going to say medical conditions. He's doing better right now, his daughter says. But yeah, man, Jamie Foxx, one talented guy, and not only for his talent that we want him to survive, we want him to survive as human beings and get well as human beings. We love you, Jamie. Prayers up. There's a lot of celebrities going through some stuff. A lot of people out there going through some stuff. So celebrities are real people too. You know, they're not supermen. They're not superwomen. You know, they hurt too. Just like us. You know what I'm saying? Oof, he be working too hard. I feel like that fool got like 17 Netflix movies, 17 TV shows that he hosts. Yeah, working too hard. You get that Hollywood juice and you get going. You gotta sit down sometimes. He's in his, I would say mid-50s right now. So, but prayers out to Jamie and his family. And yeah, that ends that pop culture segment. I know I wish I had some more like up tempo, upbeat stuff to talk about. I know it's all somber there. But I'll lift your spirits with this cinema corner. Cinema corner. Let's get right into it. Ski skirt. Where we at? Where we at? We're on the cinema corner. Ski skirt. Where we at? It's the cinema corner. Ski skirt. Where we at? It's the cinema corner. But we like to talk about TV shows, movies, and some movie reviews if we got them. But right now, I'm just going to talk about some TV shows that I've been watching that I've been tracking along with from episode to episode. We got Mandalorian. Let's start with Mandalorian episode 7. This episode was interesting to me. It's been cool for the last couple. Me and Damo talked about the last couple of episodes. We got to see a lot of Bo-Katan, though. I feel like this is more of she is a Mandalorian, so I guess the title still holds because Bo-Katan is a Mandalorian. But this show has been a lot about her and her redeeming herself as, you know, one the Mandalorian and her becoming the leader of the Mandalorians and the person that unifies the Mandalorian. So though it's not really about Din Djarin this season and Grogu, we do get to see a lot of the Bo-Katan story, and I think it's pretty dope. It's still dope in my eyes because, you know, she is royalty. Her family was wiped out, and she's like the last of, you know, the heir of royalty. So she should kind of be the one to lead the Mandalorians and kind of unify the divided factions of the Mandalorian that are out there. You know what I'm saying? Because they all being divided can only get them killed off more. And everybody wants to kill the Mandalorians because everybody knows how powerful they are in, you know, what is about to be a Mandalorian. So their planet was bombed and destroyed, and then they lied about it and said it was poisonous to go back there. So, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to divide the Mandalorians out here for centuries. So now it's up to Bo-Katan to go ahead and take the reins and unite them. People thought, you know, you can't be a leader of the Mandalorians without wielding the dark saber. But in the last episode, we saw Din Djarin Mando give her the dark saber after explaining how he was captured by the robot, and she defeated the robot, taking away this dark saber from the robot. Therefore, she gets the dark saber, and she can lead the Mandalorians and unify us, type shit, which was a dope type shit for the Mandalorian to do because, you know what I'm saying, it was a technicality type loophole type thing, but she was able to get the dark saber back, and we saw when she wielded the dark saber compared to when Din Djarin was trying to wield the dark saber, she was like it was super light, but with him it's like super heavy, and he couldn't really move it as fast as she could. So it was cool to see her get that back, and for her just to kind of flip in her mentality. For like she used to just say, forget all the Mandalorian lore and culture. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna take off my helmet. I'm gonna walk my own way, to actually seeing a mythosaur and actually regaining the belief of the Mandalorian and actually being bathing in the waters of Mandalorian, being reborn as a Mandalorian. And and the armorer said she can take off her helmet and be herself because she's going to be the one to unite the Mandalorians, was a dope thing to see. And to see her actually on board, because she's badass, man, leading the Night Owls and her whole faction of Mandalorians she had before she kind of like split from them. Yeah, they're pretty dope. So to see them merge with the actual traditional Mandalorians was really sick in this episode. Though they have beef, you know what I mean, from them being divided for so many years, it was cool to see a whole bunch of different types of Mandalorii. I don't know, but the ones that take off their helmets and the ones that actually traditional, and for them to have beef and stuff as tribes was dope. We got to see them fight. Paz Vizsla was fighting one of the other guys. What's his name? Axe something, Axe Wolves or something like that. They were fighting because they had beef, and what I'm saying. It's what's her name? Bo-Katan was like, you can't stop the fight. You know what I'm saying? Because if you stop the fight, it's gonna cause like a war between the factions. And Grogu was in the robot, the upgrade to the droid. I forgot what the droid's name was, B-18, I don't know, B-11 or some crazy ass shit. Grogu actually fit inside and was operating the machine. And then only had two buttons, like a yes and a no button. And he went in there and stopped the fight. He was like, no, no. That shit was dope. Stop the fight because he could interfere. You know what I mean? Because the Mandalorian need to be together because everybody's trying to kill the Mandalorian. They're always trying to trap him and shit. And then we got to see Moff Gideon's return, and it was dope seeing how they did it because we did see him get rescued. They said that he was it looked like he was rescued by Mandalorians, but the New Republic or whatever, actually it's still part of the Empire, was actually using the Beskar armor to armor like the stormtroopers, to give them Beskar armor and be kind of like Mandalorian stormtroopers, which kind of fucked over the Mandalorian because like these dudes can fight on our level now. Their armor reflects our blasters, and it's gonna be harder to kill them. And then Moff Gideon's still alive, looking like Darth Vader, Mandalorian type of dude. It was a good little episode 7, man. Though I don't know, we didn't necessarily see it. Paz Vizsla died. I don't know if he actually died, but hopefully he actually survives and can help him out at the end. Because Paz Vizsla is pretty dope. What else we got? Grogu and the droid. And yeah, we got to see the factions fight again, fight against the other droids. It's gonna be interesting to see what they're gonna do now because Moff Gideon's one's still alive, and they have the fucking stormtroopers with jetpacks and Beskar armor. So the only shit that's actually gonna be really be able to do stuff against these guys is gonna be the dark saber. So I don't know what Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians are gonna do, knowing that Moff Gideon has an army of these guys and can just fucking go to war with them. But hopefully this last episode is gonna be like an epic battle. And they take out Moff Gideon. I should have got a Moff Gideon Funko Pop. But yeah, the season's been good so far. I've been enjoying it. How have y'all been liking it? It's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's been slow sometimes. They jumped in and out of the storyline, took us away from Mando a little bit. Didn't really show us much development of Grogu. He's been just kind of still doing his own thing. And again, it's a lot more about Bo-Katan this time. So yeah, it's interesting, but I still like it, man. The development of Bo-Katan has been really cool. And we can see what they're trying to do. And hopefully Mando doesn't die in this, because Pablo Pascal has a whole bunch of like jobs right now. But yeah, they can easily just have him killed off, and then Grogu and Bo-Katan continue the missions and shit like that. But hopefully we good on that, and we just have a cool little finale episode. I don't know if it's the finale episode. It's episode 7, so I would imagine there'll be like 8 or 9, probably 8 though, just to give us a super teaser. Next, I wanted to talk about the Challenge USA and the Survivor season 44, kind of together, because they're both kind of like on CBS, Viacom, MTV now. So they're kind of like merging ideals, and they're kind of getting more similar in how the games are ran, which I really do like. Back in the days, the challenge was like a lot about drama and the hookups and stuff like that. And now it's more so about the competitions, and the competitions are harder. You see them incorporate a lot more puzzles like they do in Survivor. And I like Survivor just for the aspect that they are living out there in the wilderness. And the games they play are super mind games as well as puzzles and hella endurance stuff that you have to do while actually living in the wild and eating dirt and grass and worms and fruit all the time and not having any meals. And you're out there competing for immunity, and people are just kind of like backstabbing each other to vote them out of the tribes without, you know, and you get rewarded for that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting juxtaposition right now, just because one, again, they're under the same CBS Viacom umbrella, and two, you can kind of see how they're all kind of like taking bits and pieces from each other. I wouldn't say necessarily Survivor is taking bits and pieces from the challenge, but I know the challenge is taking bits and pieces from the Survivor. Not only are they taking players from Survivor to literally compete on the challenge has got more serious about their challenges. You know what I mean? We would see a bunch of little silly challenges and them fighting each other in mud pits or them just doing silly trivia stuff. But now we see them having to do some kind of physical thing, swim out to something, get a puzzle piece, then complete the puzzle to win. It's very Survivor-ish, and I really like it like that. You know what I'm saying? And this year, or this season that we're actually watching right now, is called the Challenge USA. The Challenge World Champions is what it's called. They have a whole bunch of like challenges now, I guess, in different countries. So they have a challenge in Argentina, they have a challenge in the UK, and they have a challenge in Australia. So all the winners and people from those shows have come to compete against the pretty much American winners who won in the Challenge USA in the previous season that was before this one. The Challenge USA people qualified to be in the World Challenge, and I guess all the winners from these other countries actually got incorporated into this challenge, the World Challenge one together too. So, and then they brought all the champions from all the past seasons, you know, the regular Johnny Bananas, John A, Jordan, Wes, Kellyanne, Jody. They had a bunch of those guys, the challenge people that we like to see. And then we had all the people from the different countries that won out there as well. And they got to compete to pick each other's partners and stuff like that. They got to pick a partner from the champions team, the team that they, the people that we know, they got a chance to pick those players to be their partners. And that's how they partnered up throughout the season. So it's been cool so far. It's been really cool just seeing people from the American side of the challenge teamed up with either somebody from Argentina, the UK, or Australia, just seeing how they think and how they feel about other people from their countries that they came to the game with, and just seeing if they're going to stick together, to split up based on who they're partnered with and who their partners are allianced with. And it really seems like it's getting kind of like the Survivor now, because Survivor, you're friends with somebody for 1 second, and then you're trying to vote them off the next second, just based off of, just little alliances you make with other people, and you got to backstab somebody to actually win the Survivor's challenges and stuff, Survivor and stuff like that. And the jury has to judge that you were conniving and you made enough moves and you backstab people, and one challenge is enough to actually be considered the winner of Survivor. It's kind of, that shit is seeping over into the challenge, yo, because the champions and the past challenge winners aren't winning like that no more. They can't just come in off a name base and just go there and win and pick on the new guys, because they have that way of sneaking around and making alliances and being able to vote you in when you don't think you're going in, and making power plays that everybody was scared to make back in the day, when they're like, oh, Johnny Bananas is here, we can't make any power plays against him because he'll murder us if he comes back. Now these new players are like, fuck that. We're going to throw you in, and if you come back, whatever, but we're going to put you against somebody that we consider to be tough too. We ain't going to wait to put in the Jordan versus Wes. We ain't going to wait to put in the Johnny Bananas versus Jordan. We're going to put these guys in at the first chance we get, and we're not going to be scared to do it. That's the kind of moves you have to make to show that you're actually deserving to be there, especially as a new person, to be in the challenge and are able to be qualified to win. And then in the Survivor, that's what you also got to do. You got to make those plays to show people that you're the person that should be winning Survivor. So again, both these seasons are in motion right now. Season 44 the merge happened, so the big tribes are together, so they're going to kind of start weeding it down to the bottom. People can go in the jury, and the last couple of people are going to compete, and slowly everybody's going to be picked off. But in the challenge as well, we're getting lower in the teams as well. We're kind of in the middle of the season, so a lot of episodes to go in these challenge type shows. These can go on for weeks and weeks, what I'm saying, multiple months. But the thing is, they're pre-recorded, so if you really wanted to know who won, you can actually go look it up and see who won. But don't do that, y'all. Stick in there with me, and we'll do. We used to do challenge episode by episode reviews, but we haven't been reviewing it as much. There's a lot of stuff out there, and what I'm talking about myself is not as interesting as people that are actually intrigued by the show and interested in the show as I am too. There's a lot of folks out there that watch the challenge with their significant others or with their friends or stuff like that that want to come out here and chat with me. Bring it. Because we still mid-season, a lot of episodes to go. And we got a lot of time to do it, so we can do it. And then finally in the cinema corner, Snowfall, episode 8, Ballad of the Bear. Was crazy. Spoiler alert, because I'm talking about episode 8 and 9 right now. And the episode 9 came out this past Wednesday. It's Friday now, so I hope you've seen it already. Episode 8, we got to see Franklin not really mend fences with his aunt. Her name's slipping my mind right now. But she was working with Teddy. He wanted $73 million back still, and she just kind of wants to be free of Teddy. So her and Franklin team up to kind of set up Teddy so that they can catch Teddy and just kill him or whatever and get his money back and do whatever with Teddy so they can be done with it. But Teddy doesn't know that the aunt and Franklin actually are on good terms, not really on good terms, but are working together for this situation. And then Oso, who was also working with Teddy, has been caught up by the DEA, and they're having him set up Teddy as well to try to bust Teddy on some drug shit. And then also you got this KGB agent who's trying to follow Franklin's family around to get information about Teddy as well. So everybody pretty much wanted Teddy, but they're going to crazy ways to get it. But anyways, they're working together to try to get Teddy. The aunt tells Teddy that they got Franklin tied up. Oso is supposed to show up to where they dropped off Franklin to Teddy, and Oso is supposed to help them capture Teddy. But as they were getting ready to go meet Teddy, where they're going to drop off Franklin, the DEA agent realized that Oso told his family to get out of town, and that scared the DEA agent. So they're trying to take him to jail off rip, and thought they were not trying to help him get Teddy. So that was crazy. Then we had the KGB agent come out of nowhere and save Oso to get him to the kidnapping just in time to save Franklin from dying because he was being hung by Teddy and about to be put to sleep by the secret acid for killing his daddy. He was pissed off about it, and Oso didn't show up in time, so it allowed Teddy to string him up and shit like that. But first of all, she dropped him off in the daytime, and Teddy didn't even come till the nighttime. He was laying on the ground for hella long, first of all. But anyways, yeah, so the KGB agent and Oso pop in just in time to save Franklin from getting put to sleep by Teddy. The DEA agent and Oso start to fight, kick the barrel down, and this fool sitting up there choking for a while. He should have passed out because he was up there for hella long. But Oso did something with the DEA agent, knocked him out, and they were able to get Franklin off the thing and get Teddy and lock him up. And that's pretty much how episode 8 went. You know what I'm saying? I know I didn't really miss much because that's pretty much what all that happened in my eyes in episode 8. There's a lot of, back and forth talking throughout the whole episode. But I think all in all, that's pretty much what happened. And the last scene of the episode was the big part about it. And then we get to episode 9, which was Sacrifice, which was crazy. We have Teddy and the KGB agent locked up in this secret warehouse Franklin has, and he really wants the $73 million. His properties are getting putting up for we're getting eviction notices because he wasn't able to pay the rent because all his money is gone because Teddy drained it out. So now that he has Teddy, he feels like he can get his money back by torturing this man. The stuff that Franklin was doing to try to get this information out of Teddy was crazy. We saw the lengths that Franklin was willing to go for this money. We saw him break as an individual. You know what I'm saying? We saw at the beginning where he was kind of like the nerdy straight edge kid. And then he went from the straight edge kid to the guy that was in the game, but kept a cool level head. And then he kind of moved into the area where he was still kind of the level headed guy, but he had a side to him where he can snap. And then he snapped. And then he went super, super crazy once he figured out that all One, that all the money was gone. Two, that Teddy kind of like just felt like he disrespected him to the point where he had to try to like, I don't know. The way he killed Teddy's dad just kind of let me know that he's willing to go to any extent to get that money back. So I didn't expect anything that he did to Teddy to be any less than crazy. But what he did with the oil by heating it up and pouring it on his chest, try to get the information out of him was crazy. That shit was crazy. The Russian roulette shit that he did was crazy as well. Man, his face, his acting, Idris, yeah. What's his name? Damson? Franklin, you doing a good job in acting in this episode, bro. Just to see it as crazy in his eyes was just nuts. Um, from the Russian roulette scene to pouring the liquid on his chest, just for the point where he was talking to Teddy, how he really felt like they were friends, and the thing that Teddy was saying was actually getting to him, and it seemed like he was gonna shed a tear at the moment, like he was like torturing this guy, but at the same time, he still like felt like he was his friend deep down, and if he gave him his money back, that bygones can be bygones, and then when he proposed to split the 73 million 37-37, or whatever the split was going to be, um he was willing to let it out, go, bygones be bygones, and go with the plan to try to like get Teddy to transfer the money and think that they can just leave on good, not good terms, but just like nothing ever happened. But Franklin's mom, this whole episode, her emotional range was just going from up to down, up to down. She was from supporting Franklin's plan to being kind of mind manipulated by the KGB agent with the suitcase news and her being recorded and everything that they had on Franklin and Teddy saying her husband wasn't killed. He was really in jail and arrested somewhere, and he was able to get in their head that way. And then I don't know, it was all when Franklin started acting too crazy and how she felt like he'll do anything for the money and was willing to go to any extent for it. And that's what kind of had her take mom's intuition and do what she had to do at the end of the episode. Especially when she asked Teddy what jail what jail did you put him in? And he was like, "Are you serious? I shot him in the head twice." Yeah. She was like, "Nah." She popped him right before she got the codes. You know what I'm saying? No money for you and no money for your kids. No money for Franklin, because we saw how this money has changed him. So he has to learn his lesson now that money is not going to corrupt you to the core with no return. So she did what she thought she had to do. She popped Teddy right before the code was given. And my jaw dropped. I was like, right before the 37 million transaction, you couldn't wait until after the codes. But I get it. I get what she was saying. She saw the extent that Franklin was going to try to get this money back in the first place in that safe house. You know what I'm saying? Even Leon saw it. So it's like, nah, man, I'm not gonna let this go down. I can't let my son cross that line to where there's no return, just be an evil dude forever. And she popped Teddy and just ended it all. Made sure he died because she didn't believe that Franklin would be safe after the money split. She didn't believe that he wouldn't go to any extent to get revenge for his dad's death, for being tortured. So to make sure her son was safe and to make sure that he didn't fully get corrupted by the money, she did what she felt like she needed to do. And the end of the episode ended with the dial tone of the people at the bank hanging up and the phone's dial tone. I was like, dang, that's epic as hell. That shit is epic as hell. But hey, if I didn't ruin for you, go watch this season 6. It's the last season of Snowfall. There's one episode left, so I didn't tell you what happened on the finale, but I will be talking about it after it comes out on that Friday episode. So catch up right now. And if you didn't get my spoiler alert before you put on the podcast and started hearing all this stuff, I apologize, because I feel like I visually put together an epic recap right there for y'all. And I feel like y'all can probably just picture everything that just happened. So if you didn't want to be spoiled by that epic ass recap that I just gave, skip over that part. I promise you won't be disappointed. But if you don't care and you've seen it already and you want to talk about some of that shit too, that shit was wild, right? That was wild, right? I had my doubts for the season after seeing season 5. A lot of stuff in that season was kind of like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I didn't even realize this was season 6, but yeah, this season's been good so far. Though some of the episodes dragged on a little bit to get to what was really happening, starting with Jerome's death, and then the next episode was all pretty much the funeral, And then, just like scenes towards the end of the episode that were really big, interesting parts of the episodes. But it's a good season, man. I'm not gonna lie. I would recommend it to everybody. That's why I kind of talk about it every episode. But that ends Cinema Corner. I want to end the episode with telling y'all about some music that's out right now. I know y'all heard Search and Destroy by Drake. That shit just dropped. He dropped a little Lucy for everybody. It's a cool little catchy song. It's not one of the best Drake songs that ever dropped, but if you want a little vibe to ride around to in the springtime, you know what I'm saying, want a song that might get stuck in your head. You walking around at work trying to get those miles in, you know what I'm saying, with your Fitbit or your Apple Watch, getting those steps in, you know what I'm saying? Put this song on. I think this will get you vibing and put a little pep in your step. Go get pep in your step too. And then Lil Yachty Strike. Drake and Lil Yachty been on this kind of weird little vibe right now. Been kicking it a lot together. And this song Strike, I don't know. Lil Yachty, I don't know. He made a whole bunch of money when he was young. He still is young, doing whatever music he wanted to. So he's trying to change up some shit and experiment with new sounds. But if this is for you, I know there's a lot of Lil Yachty fans out there. Check out Strike that is dropped. And then another artist that you guys probably don't know too much about, but if you guys are with the shits, you probably know Schoolie. He's really close to 2 Chainz. It was one of his under his, I don't know if he's under his label, but rapped really closely to 2 Chainz. He has a song called '08 Lil Wayne that's out right now. So check those out. Search and Destroy by Drake, Strike by Lil Yachty, '08 Lil Wayne by Schoolie. 3 songs I just want to get y'all to go out there and try to check out. Bump them in your radio. If you like it, I'll keep giving suggestions on songs that you can, download and bump, support the artist, and get you some cool music for the springtime. Go into the summertime with some vibes on the radio. And just say, Lydell sent you, you know what I'm saying? I'll keep bringing the heat for you, but we got to the end of the episode now where I like to let you know where to find me at. It's SAC_Lydell on the Instagram, Patrick_Lydell on the Snappy Chat. And if you're looking for anything Best of Bias, just type it in on the internet and you'll find us. You'll see Growly right there grinning for you. I don't know, I got country when I was saying that, but you'll see Growly on there grinning. Click that on the YouTube. It's Best of Bias. And you'll see Growly up there too. Like, subscribe, share, hit that little bell so you don't miss a video. Yeah, man. It's been amazing. All the support on YouTube over there. A lot of our viewers are increasing. I want more and more though. I'm selfish, you know what I'm saying? That's my bias. Bring the family. Let's get the family as big as possible. Right now we have about 74 subscribers. We're getting a lot more listens, a lot more clicks, trying to get more clips out there for y'all so y'all don't have to listen to the whole episode to kind of get to the topics you guys want to hear, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna try to do better with that. Again, AKA, we're working on some upgrades over there on his side. So once we get new stuff on there, we'll get a lot more content. We'll get a lot more variation as well. And I'm gonna try to get a lot more content out here for y'all because I know one episode a week ain't enough. There's a lot of topics that happen out throughout the weeks, and sometimes I miss some stuff. These episodes come out on Friday, so stuff happens over the weekend. I want to get to y'all fast. There's a lot of little mini topics that I want to talk about: Funko Pops, prize picks. It's a lot of stuff that I want to get out there, and multiple guests I want to be on. So maybe get about 2 a week. I want to talk about Patreon with y'all as well. Get in there so I can give you guys special content. If you go on, for these extra episodes and some content that you may not get regularly when I drop these regular episodes, I'll give you some bonus content on there. It'll be like a tiered system where you can pay anything you want to try to get in there. And based on the price you pay, we can get you some exclusive content on top of the actual free content I'm gonna try to push out as well. I'm gonna start working from home soon, so I have a lot more content. I'll be really closely involved with the office, so I'll just get out here and talk to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Give y'all some new content to talk about each week. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been some times where I left y'all without a beat to step to, but I try to get here and every week and let y'all know what's going on because I'm for the people. I'm for y'all. And of course, you need some merch. We got some new merch dropping real soon. Some real good shit dropping real soon. I got some new designs coming in. I'm getting some embroidery with some new patches on the side of the hats as well as in the front. You know what I'm saying? You got to see the vision right now. You know what I'm saying? You know how Growly on the t-shirts messes with the electricity, right? I got something coming. It just reminds you of that. Dog bandana's coming real soon. So, because we not just a podcast, we what? Merch gang as well. So we're gonna come out here, hit y'all with some fresh stuff, some fresh content, some fresh clothes, some fresh representative merchandise. What y'all know about the representative merchandise, you know what I'm saying? But for now, thank you guys for being here. I love y'all. Happy Friday, new listeners. I hope you like it. You're going to come back next time. Come back next Friday. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, to the family, of course. Thank you for being here as always. I left y'all with another nibble, but we're gonna come back with a huge bite next week. Probably have a guest on. Damon will probably hop on next week and talk about some shit. But for now, it's the best of bias. Go see Mario, go see John Wick, go see Air. A bunch of good movies in theaters right now to go enjoy with your family members, your loved ones, whoever you want to go see a movie with. Just go out there, do something. It's beautiful outside. I love y'all. And where my theme song at? Yeah. It's the best of bias. You need the earful, you should try us. From pop culture to the movies to Unitas. It's the best of bias. The best of bias. Yeah. It's the best of bias.
You are now listening to the Best of Bias podcast with Lydell Dinero